Hey, Michael with XForcePC. People ask me from time to time, what do I think about VR, virtual reality? That'd be the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive. And so I do have some definite opinions about that. So, of course, you probably know, but with the VR stuff, you've got these goggles that you put on that look like ski goggles, and there's some headphones to give you sound. So and that's important so you're not picking up the noise inside the room. You kind of want to isolate yourself. It comes with two of these little stands here that track your head movements. This is the Oculus, by the way. The Vive also comes with two, but they do theirs a little bit differently. And then it comes with these two hand controls, which used to be, optional, and they can certainly improve well, they're almost really necessary, because when you've got those goggles on, it's really hard to find your mouse and your keyboard and use it. So these are very, very important, and it was weird that when Oculus first came out, there was a big gap between the Oculus coming out and then these coming out, and that was weird to me, because these are really necessary. So let me talk about, what do I think of VR? Well, the first thing I'll tell you is everybody's got an opinion, and I have mine, you have yours, other people have theirs. And so my opinion isn't necessarily right, but if you've been watching my channel for a while, then maybe you can kind of take my thoughts on other things and what you agree with on those, and maybe help figure out if you agree with me on the VR. There is a guy that has a YouTube channel called On the Glide Slope that's done a lot of stuff with VR, so you might want to check him out when you're done here. I'm not going to demo it. That's what he does a lot of, is showing it to you. I'm going to talk about it in my opinion. So the first thing is, what do I like about it? There's really only one thing I like about it, but it's a big, big thing. And that thing is the immersion effect. When you put these goggles on and they completely cover your vision, and you have these headphones completely covering your ear, you are transported into a totally different world. You're in a plane. You feel like you're in a plane. Your brain is so tricked. For me, again, this is for me, my brain is so tricked that when I take these goggles off, I'm actually surprised when I look around and go, oh yeah, look at that, I am still here. I mean, it's actually surprising when you take these goggles off and you find you're still sitting in your office or your bedroom or your den or wherever you are. You get that lost in the immersion. And everything is in 3D. So when you're in the cockpit, it looks like the instrument panel is right here in space, and you could just reach out and touch it. And ultimately you can see where that's going, where you'll have a glove maybe one day where you could touch stuff, and you'll actually get feedback through your fingers. That's where we need to get, by the way. We're not there. The yoke actually looks like you could just reach out and grab it. So everything's in 3D. The cockpit looks like it's 3 or 4 feet away from you, and the scenery looks like it's way off in the distance. So again, the immersion effect is phenomenal. Now let's get to the stuff I don't really like and kind of the problems. Well, the first one is the hand controls I kind of hinted at. What we need to get to is something where you're wearing something like a glove, where you can reach out and touch the buttons, and when you hit the button you feel like a little vibration in your fingertip to indicate you touched it. Using these hand controls, they're sort of almost like a magic wand almost, where you're sort of virtually trying to touch buttons. And it's, Laminar Research has done a great job with implementing VR. It's still in beta, and but they're limited to this. This is a limiting factor, what they can accomplish with these. And there's 2 of them, one for each hand. And then if you go to, you can't have those in your hand when you go to put the goggles on, and if you don't have these hand controls readily available, you'll put the goggles on and you'll be like, oh man, I forgot my hand controls. You gotta take the goggles back off and bring the hand controls closer to you. They will show up in virtual space, so if you're looking through the goggles, you can actually see a representation of the hand controls and sort of reach out and grab them. So that's good. So the hand controls can be a bit of a limiting factor. Now, another thing that is a con, and it's probably the biggest con of all, is image quality. very limited on image quality. It looks like you're looking through a screen door. To me, it's so bad that I'm continuously going, surely there's some focus setting that I'm missing here. But there isn't. The image quality just really isn't where it needs to be. And that's going to take a second generation of VR goggles to fix that. Some people are able to overlook it. Some people say, you know what, the immersion effect is so good that I'm willing to deal with fuzzier graphics. It's to the point where I can't read the instruments unless I lean my head in, which of course moves your point of view towards the instruments, and then you can read the numbers, but you can't read the numbers without, for me, leaning into them in many cases. Probably one of the last cons is the fact that you have to wear this. If you're going on a 3-hour flight, even an hour flight, these can become tedious on your head. You get kind of warm, you know, because your eyes are inside these things, and you know your face gets kind of hot, and you've got this thing on your head. It's, you know, they've made it reasonably light, but it's, you know, it's something on your head. It's not. I mean, imagine going around wearing ski goggles and then some for several hours. It can be a little tedious to have this on. And then probably for the very last con, there's a wire. So with X-Plane, that's not a big deal because you're seated, but you know, with some of the other VR stuff, when you're up and you're moving around, that wire can become a bit of a liability. You don't want to trip over it or step on it or yank it out of the computer abruptly and tear something up. So that's kind of my thought. I think what we need is second gen. I will say that the price has come down considerably on this. It's only $399 for the goggles. That comes with the hand controls and the 2 little tracking stands. And of course, this is at the time of this video. That could change. So you could buy one of these things just to check it out. You do need a powerful machine. I would recommend, you know, i5 or better, and probably GTX 1070 or better, or maybe a 980 Ti or a 980. 980 probably being the minimum to get decent frame rate. So, because if you don't get decent frame rate, it could result in some sort of seasickness going on. So that's my thoughts. I think second gen is going to be where it's at. I can certainly see the potential, and I think it's going to be a really great tool at some point. It's just really hard to take a first gen product and nail it, and that's what we're seeing here. And I think in the second generation of these products, we're really going to see a vast improvement and probably a recommendation for me at that point. Right now, I would call it more of a novelty.